All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Portfolio Talks. If you're someone that wants to understand money, have conversations around money, this is the spot for you. Before we jump into our topic today, if you can give us a like, a share, subscribe, everything that's amazing on that front really helps out the platform and the purpose of bringing money to you and the people that are going to be listening to this through the screen. So as always, you got myself, you got Tyson, both of us from Portfolio Planning, you got Mike from the HomeHappy team, and we're going to talk to you about keeping things simple. If you have your head, not in the sand, you're hearing all this craziness about tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, political races, all this crazy noise that's happening, but how much of it really affects you versus what you can do that will actually put more money in your pocket. And we're going to talk about that today because cash flow is king. If you can earn more, spend less, save and do something with what's left over, you're going to come out ahead. And it sounds overly simple, but there's ways that we can do that. So Tyson is actually going on vacation in a little bit, and we were just having a conversation right before we jumped on, which kind of made us think about this topic and what we want to talk about. So Tyson, where are you going? What's the deal?
I'm not going anywhere exotic. I'm just gonna slip away for a couple of days and have like a nice sort of like extended long weekend. Hopefully be warmer. But what we were talking about was do I do an eSIM versus do my roam like by phone or whatever it's called with my current carrier? And we were looking at it and it's like, holy crap, like it got so expensive over the years. I remember when it was just a few dollars to roam and extend your plan, and now it's like 14 or $15 a day. And so if you're going for an extended period of time, that's probably the worst way to do that. And it feels almost like gouging. Like what extra service are they really adding? And how complicated is it? And so I brought up the idea of eSIMs and getting something that allows you to be international for a period of time. And it's actually cheaper than my phone plan. And it's like, should I be eSIMing the whole time? Should I just be like traveling at home? Um,
I never thought about that
but
actually.
yeah, right. And so, not that we want to be a super cost cutting, super couponer type of like lifestyle, but it does make you wonder, like, what are we paying for? And I don't know. I mean, a lot of it does it just it starts to feel like bullshit all the time. Like, what is going on here? And we just put up with it.
They're
Yeah,
counting
and I
on
think
you to just do the add-on and not worry about it because it's just easy.
It's
that,
convenient.
that's exactly what I was going to say. I think people and businesses understand that life is so freaking busy nowadays that people don't have time to, all right, let me shop around or coupon around. I think if I reflect back to when I was younger, I remember my mom used to know like Superstore had cheaper milk, Walmart had cheaper this, Save On had cheaper this. And yeah, it was kind of annoying and bouncing back and forth between all these stores, but they had that shit down to a science. Like we're getting these groceries, we're getting these 80% from this store, this from here, we're gonna come out, 5, 7, $8 ahead. But if you compound that over time, it's just the mindset of not being lazy and just buying the first thing that's there because convenience spending is insane. And that kind of brings me to this is not an ad, by the way, air aloe, I guess is how you pronounce it. If it was an ad, I would know how to say it at least. So it's definitely not. But we're talking about traveling, and I remember when I went to Europe, a friend of mine told me about this, and I never heard of it before. I was very much prepared to do the roam like home for myself and my wife, and what that was gonna be like $40 a day, pretty much every single day while you're roaming from home. But instead, we looked at this, which was just an eSIM, and it is so much cheaper. So let's just say, for example, I went to Switzerland. So let's just type feel short. Yeah, Switzerland here. So I went to Switzerland instead of me doing the roam like home. I paid $7, for example, and this lasted for 7 days for 1 gigabyte of data. And you may think, oh, 1 gig is nothing. Sure, you can upgrade if you want to do $12 for 2 gigs, or you can just increase it as you go on. But how much data are you really using when you're on vacation? Like we're going for hikes, walking around, go for dinner, things of that type.
Yep.
And this came out so much cheaper instead of $10 a day, $7 for 7 days. I mean, I know I'm a finance guy, but that math checks out for anybody. Like it's way cheaper to use something like this. And I never heard of it to you guys' point. No one ever told me about it, never heard of it. And I was shocked when I heard that roam like home wasn't the only way you could do it. So that's another example of just taking a little bit of time and you can do basically any region you want and save quite a bit of money. So Tyson, when you're saving money on vacation, think of me because I saved you all this money. Buy me a souvenir.
That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna spend it on street tacos.
Perfect. I love that for you.
You know,
But I mean,
it's interesting, Tyson. You mentioned like spring cleaning, looking at all the things that you pay for, and you know, for a lot of people, it's just something that goes on and on, and you keep adding things to it, and you never think about it. Play a game with that, like play a game with either your spouse or your friend or whatever. Like take a look at everything you pay out, and like go through your credit cards, everything that goes on your card, and everything that goes out of your account. Play a game and see how much you could reduce, and see if you can beat your buddy, and have a bet and somebody buys beer, whatever. But like make it fun. But it's just scary how many little add-ons that we all say, yeah, whatever, it's $2, it's $3. And all of a sudden you're paying out $1,000 a month to stupid stuff you probably don't even need. And
Yep.
if you prioritize what you actually need and use, you could probably save yourself quite a bit of money. And now that money, like you said, Shaw, we can use, we can invest, we can do whatever it is that you want to do with it. But it sounds so simple and stupid, but it's brilliant. Like most people, myself included, I don't do it very often, and yet you've got Paramount Plus, and you've got Netflix, and you've got like Disney, and I haven't even looked at a Disney thing forever, and yet here I am paying for it. I went through and got rid of stuff. So it's fascinating how many of those little things that, and I think the younger you are, probably the more stuff you have like that,
Yeah.
because that's who they're targeting, is younger people saying yes to add-ons. And oh, the app's only $1.99, but then the purchases inside that app add up even more. And I think you become more aware of it, and it's kind of like there's a reticular activator. So Vishal, you're going to get used to this, and when you're pregnant, you see everybody that's pregnant, and
yeah.
like it's when you start to look at that stuff closely, you're going to suddenly become much more aware of how much you're putting out and wasting on. It's not that you can't have some of those, obviously you have to, but it's just like, if you can think longer term as opposed to short term, I think that's it, and make it fun to get rid of those costs.
Yeah, exactly. And that thought really came to me because here where I live is the city does a spring cleaning thing. So they allow you to just throw out anything you want. And, once a year, we just look at like my storage room, which is kind of where my office is. You can't see what's off camera, thank God. Um, and we just get rid of all the stuff that we haven't used, stuff that is going to be thrown in the garbage and whatnot. And part of our joke inside our house is we have people that come around, and this is like their time of the year to shine, and we call them garbage pirates. And they have trailers and bins, and they come around, they collect all your aluminum, they collect all the scrap metal, but then they collect everything too, chairs, and we've got rid of a old suitcase, and it's like a treasure hunt for these guys. And so that's pretty funny. The thought process though was, we have all this stuff we haven't used. Some of it we could sell, and we will, but some of it we just want to put it out. I hope somebody else takes it, and a lot of people did. They came around and took it. But there's stuff that's around us that we don't need, and we need to clean all this crap up. And to your point, Mike, is we want to audit our subscriptions, credit card insurance, loan insurance, all of these things. Man, if you had life insurance and you're paying $50 a month for your huge life insurance policy, and we look at your credit card statements, you're paying $12 and $14 a month for credit card insurance that covers nothing. It's way more expensive insurance. Get rid of it. Your life insurance already covers that. And you might be saving 50, $60 a month, depending on how many credit cards you have and loans and other things. And then all of those subscription services. Before we hit record, I was saying we have 4 phones in the house because I got four people, and we used to buy them all at Best Buy all the time and get the Geek Squad service. And this is not a knock on Geek Squad service; they've been great to us, but it's an added cost every month on 4 phones for years, because we every couple of years we upgrade our phones, so you start it all over again. And you just look at it and say, over our lifetime, we could have bought 3 or 4 new phones outright with the cost of insurance that we spent. Do we really need all these subscriptions? And that's not even the entertainment ones. And so last year, to your point, Mike, is I went through and I was just like, I'm going to cancel Netflix, and I'm going to cancel this one. I'm going to cancel Disney Plus because I don't even watch it. Um, my wife and my daughter watch TV. If they didn't as much, I would cancel TV. I just need internet because everything's online. Not because I want to be cheap, just because I don't use the resource and I'm paying for it.
Even credit cards. I mean, you might have the $300 a year platinum card because it's for traveling, but you haven't traveled in 2 years, and you know what I mean. Like you're not using it. So like, there's so many credit cards and so many. I know there's people out there who they love moving it from, they move a balance from balance to balance because it's 0% for a certain. Like, I don't want to go that far. That's crazy. But I do think you should review that once in a while too. If you're paying for services or values that you don't use anymore, think about it and make sure you're committed to it, or you're not. So there's free cards. You can have a free Visa. You don't have to pay anything. And if you're not using the service, the extra values, like that's another little money saver.
100%. For Vishal and I in the business, sorry, Vishal, I just cut you off.
I know.
In the business is we have so many like softwares and licenses and other things. And every once in a while, I'm just like, why am I paying? We use Teams, we use Zoom, we use this other one, we got another one. Like, why am I paying like $200 a month and I only use one of them? And
Yeah.
it's like this, it gets ridiculous at a certain point.
Yeah. No, I honestly, both you guys are exactly right. I think one thing you mentioned, Tyson, was it's not about being cheap. It's about, not utilizing service. But even that word, I think it's so funny because there's like such a negative connotation when it comes to being cheap. Being cheap is not a bad thing. It's call it cheap, call it frugal, call it smart. I don't know. I don't really care what you call it. But at the end of the day, what's worse, being cheap or being in debt continuously and not being able to fund your goals or go on vacation or retire on time? Like I would much rather be cheap or perceived as cheap and just buy the things that I actually enjoy. And it really comes down to, are you okay signing off money that could be utilized for other things for this thing that you care nothing about? And I'll give an example. My cousin always laughs about it because he cares about cars and he's really tried hard for a decade to make me care about cars, and I just don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me at all. I apologize, Mike, because I know Mike's into cars too, but
I get it.
it's just not my thing. Like the funniest part about that is if we remember back when we were kids playing Need for Speed and Midnight Club, all this stuff. I'm competitive, so I would always spend like my dollars on the new car so I could win the race, but I would never mod it. I would never paint it. I would never put rims on it. I would just buy the car and race it. It used to drive people crazy. Like, why are you driving this piece of shit stock car? I'm like, I just want to win, man. I don't really care. And that was always my mentality in video games. So it was funny. We were at our softball game and we were talking about our car. And somebody else on my team was telling me, "Oh, you should get this. Like, look at this vehicle. It'd be so good." And because I love camping, my wife and I, we love being outdoors. He said, "You get this, and it can have this, and all these add-ons." And my cousin started laughing. He's like, "Don't even try, man. I've been trying to get Michelle to buy a new car for a while, but he very much does not spend money on things he doesn't care about." And everyone stopped for a second. They're like, "Yeah, it makes sense." And it's very much how I am. If there's something that will take resources or money away from me, and I know it doesn't bring me joy or value, I just don't care to spend the money on it. And it took a while to learn. I was the complete opposite when I was younger. When I first started making good money, I was like, "Oh, I gotta buy this and buy this and buy this," and all your money leaves you. But then you go through this lull where you look at your statement, and I was also guilty of it. I never looked at my statement for a while until I pulled it up, and I saw all these charges for things. I just realized, damn, like cars like 1,100 a month with insurance and all this other stuff, or something I don't really care. Like it was exciting for me for like a month, and then it was just my car. It didn't really make much sense to me. Netflix, Disney, Hulu, sports betting, all this other random stuff that you just do just because you're bored. I wanted to do significantly less of that stuff, of spending money just because I'm bored, and fill my time with not being bored by doing the things that actually I enjoy, which was playing sports, working out, being active, camping, lakes, all that kind of stuff with people that also enjoyed it. So just doubling down on the things that interest you will probably save you a ton of money because you start to realize I don't care about any of this stuff. And we see that a lot in our financial planning class when we go through the statements. You guys nailed a bunch of them that people don't realize that they spend money on, which would be, Mike, you nailed it with the credit cards. And that's a great way to position it. Yeah, these lounge access is awesome, but when was the last time you went on a flight? And when was the last time you're early enough to enjoy the lounge?
Yeah.
Because usually you're last minute running down the airport and they'll realize like, yeah, I guess I don't really use it. That $200 or three, it's actually like $700 for the Amex Platinum, but that
Yeah.
$700 for the year could get you a lot of other stuff. And same thing with all these subscriptions. If you're a business owner, that's one thing you don't really do. Like perhaps you do a good job of cutting out the Netflixes of the world, but you don't really do a good job of auditing your business expenses of how much of this tech stack do you actually use? And is there a free alternative for that instead? And then other things that people don't realize is Tyson alluded to it before about insurance. So you may have individually owned life insurance, but then you also have a credit card. You also have overdraft insurance. You also have group benefits that you have optional opt-ins. But
Loan
if you already
insurance.
have loan insurance, yeah, and if you already have a solidified individual insurance, you can remove all these other ones, even your group benefits. They're going to underwrite you later on. And what are the chances you're going to stay at that job for the entirety of your career and things of that type? So you're better off to have a dollar today more than a potential dollar tomorrow because that's not even a guaranteed insurance policy. It's like you'll pay us and then we'll take a look at it later on if you need the money. How's that a good deal? So it's better off to opt out of those stuff as long as you have a good solid foundation and then you can invest it instead. You can do accelerated mortgage payments with someone like Mike that can help you understand, hey, if you just do an extra a bit of money at the end of the year or change the biweekly payments or whatever, you can come up so much further ahead and shave off like 7 years of your mortgage. Now imagine how much freedom you have in the future. So it's about making the inconvenient decisions now that'll make your life significantly more convenient in the future. And I think that's the problem with consumerism in North America is we just don't think about it. We just buy all these small things. The next thing you know, you have no money because your cash flow is gone to all these corporations. So that's my long-winded thought on it.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
agree.
death
And
by a
you know what?
thousand
There's a certain
cuts.
inertia that our society you get into. You're pulled into this, like you're out with the boys. Oh, you better put down a platinum card because that's really impressive. Well, wouldn't it be better to have the base, what we call a tin card, because it's nothing, and actually have it go through as opposed to having that platinum card that's at its limit and you can't get it to work. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like we have so many little things in our society that just keep pulling you into that debt thing, and it's you're right. Like there's certain like, oh, he's cheap. Well, I think he'd rather be smart than stupid, and we're all guilty of being stupid. So um, treat it like a game and be proud of saving that stuff and what you can do with it in the future. And man, I mean, it like you said. I mean, is it better to have some channel that you never watch or pay your mortgage off 7 years sooner? Like not that that's going to be that much, but if you did all the work, you could do something like that. And I think that's where you should be. Like, I don't think most people even look at their visa statements most of the time. You should be looking at all your statements and get your spouse involved. Do it together. Say like, let's talk about this because you're going to find things you can save on. And I don't think that means you can't spend money, but I think it means spend the money on the stuff that matters to you. And then you know, what are you going to look at in 3 years and say, I'm sure glad I did that. That's the stuff that matters. And
Yep,
if you look back and go, what the hell was that? I don't even know what that is. Then that was a waste. So
yep. No, yeah,
yeah,
I think you're right on all of that. Is when we talk to clients from a savings perspective, the first $100,000 that you save is the hardest because there's so many distractions, so many things. But then you have that savings inertia. It's like, holy crap, we have $100,000 that's in our tax-free savings or RSPs or whatever we got. And now it's like there's a little more gravity to the situation. It's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Now we can continue to do something
yeah.
with it. And we want more people to have that positive feeling because we do all these things and we have all these nice things. We spend money. If we died tomorrow, no one's going to remember any of that shit.
No. We actually do something when
100%.
we refinance people and pay out a bunch of debt and do that kind of stuff. A lot of the times, depending on the people, obviously, but sometimes I'll encourage them to take out an extra 10 or 20 grand and do some forced savings where they use that as because the bank tells you get a HELOC in case of emergency. What that's code for is take the HELOC because you're going to max it out and you're going to pay interest on it for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So rather than a HELOC, take 20 grand, put it in the bank, even if it's a GIC. I really don't care what they do with it, but keep it cashable. But now, like in 5 years, if you could live through those 5 years and keep that money, think about the psychological effect, like you were just talking about. The inertia of having savings is going to be so different than having, hey, I didn't use my HELOC. Well, that's not as positive. It's not the same thing. So
That's right.
It's so refreshing hearing from an honest broker because I think, to your point, a majority would be like, "Hey, you got this HELOC, use this HELOC," and the only thing you're going to use it for is probably your realtor's going to come knocking, like, "Oh, you should buy this pre-sale, you should buy this," and then next thing you know, you're just leveraged out like crazy, and then interest rate hits, and you're stressing versus taking some of the money, putting into a MIC fund or a GIC or anything you really want to do, and just have that money actually grow for you. Because unless it's cash, it's all irrelevant. It's not really going to benefit you at all because if you need to turn that HELOC into cash, now you're paying interest versus just having the cash right off the bat. And especially if you're refinancing versus you could probably say it better than I can, like, but the difference of refinancing versus taking a HELOC is you're probably only going to refinance in a lower interest rate environment because your home is worth more. So if you're refinancing it and rolling that debt into your home, but at a cheaper rate, it's going to be way more affordable than if you get a HELOC, and then you're probably only going to need the money in case of emergency, which more times than not is going to be a higher rate environment, if that's kind of
Yep.
correct.
Yep. And you know what? It's also about focus. You guys deal with this too. If you have one payment because you've paid off all the other debts, it's so much easier to pay that down faster than it is when you've got 8 payments to make. And this goes to what we're talking about with all these little pieces too, and it all adds up. Focus is hard, and if you can focus on less, you're going to do better. And I'll give you a it's an old school example, but I used to get every car magazine because I was addicted to cars. And guess what that does? Those magazines just make you want to buy something else. And
Yep.
you're never really happy. You're just looking at it. And that's our society. It's like, look, you can get something new. You can do this, you can do that. And man, it's hard to fight that, but I feel like I've come around and changed quite a bit. But like for younger people, it's so easy to fall in that trap of the next thing and gotta get this and gotta get that. And no, like in 3 or 4 years, is that really going to be that important to you? Probably not. But yeah, back to your point, Vishal. I mean, I'm a big believer in focus. If you've got one mortgage payment and you're watching your balance every month and you're seeing it go down, and your savings are building, you're going to feel way better about yourself, and you're going to be able to make those extra payments on that thing and feel like you're getting ahead, as opposed to the never never plan when you never pay anything off and you move from lease to
Yeah.
lease on your car, and your HELOC's maxed out and you're not saving anything. And I mean, that sadly is what a lot of people are in. And it doesn't matter
Yep.
whether you make 20 grand or 300 grand, anybody can be in that situation. So
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully, if you got anything for this episode, guys, it's to do spring cleaning. And if you want to acquire stuff during spring cleaning, we've learned just go to Tyson's house and you can just garbage pirate his furniture and just take whatever you want. He'll leave the door open, just pop in there, and just take what you want. But spring cleaning when it comes to your finances are so important because there's a lot of things that are outside of your control when it comes to the economy. But when it comes to your personal economy, there's a lot of things that are within your control. So control your spending, keep more of your money, and then you'll open up the doors to a lot of different things that you can do. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us, drop a comment on whatever platform you're watching this on, and stay tuned for the next episode. And make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that fun stuff. And we'll be back next week with another topic. Have a good one, everyone.